We are live with another episode of Welcome to Primetime. I'm your host, Henry Chambliss. I'm joined by my co-host, Chad and Carrie. How's it going, guys?
It's going great.
Going well.
And we are joined by our special co-host, Chance the Cobra Ellison. How's it going, man?
Thank you for having me. It's going good.
All right, guys. So, as you see by the title, episode 5, this is representation in horror movies in honor of Black History Month. So, we're just going to kind of talk about our favorite horror movies that have a Black lead or a Black cast or directed by, an African-American director, things like that. But also the importance of, how far, representation has gone in Hollywood from, before to now and kind of everything in between. So let's start off with our guest Chance talking about one of his favorite movies, and then we'll just kind of go from there.
Yeah, so I think that horror with the African American crowd, I think that it's something that sums us because spook is a big thing, is a big racial term. And that's because the reason for that is the whole legend goes in life we are treated unfairly. Only place we can have fairness is as afterlife. So that's where that whole thing comes from. So that's just one of the many multitudes of reasons why Black people are associated so closely with the horror genres, because it's also just because horror for us is done in so many different forms. So when I think of horror movies with a strong Black lead or strong Black core in the center, the first one that comes to my mind is 1992's Candyman. I think the OG Candyman is, I think it's excellent. It really does a great job of taking in urban legend, as well as to bring in themes of gentrification and racial injustice, and not to mention bringing in first of all, having one of the greatest lead monsters ever in any horror movie. I love Tony Todd's Candyman. I think he's excellent. And also one of my favorite scores of all time. I love Philip Glass, one of my favorite composers of all time, man. I think his score for that film is tremendous. I do wish he would score more movies because I think he's an incredible musician. But yeah, instantly, Candyman is the first thing that came to my mind with this topic.
Yeah, so that was actually the first movie that I thought of too as well, and I actually watched it again this past week, and it still holds up. It's still a great movie, and actually what's great about it is I think it's more topical now than it was back then. It's like a movie that kind of grows with you as you get older, and you can like it for the gore and you can like it for things like that, but as you get older, you start to appreciate it more for the story and the characters and some of the deeper meanings behind the Candyman character and the Candyman lore, which is what I absolutely love in a movie, is when a movie can grow with you instead of being stuck in a certain time period. That makes sense. Chad, Carey?
Yeah, Candyman is one that we watched not too long ago together for the first time.
Yeah.
And we've seen it maybe
I think only twice.
Twice
the
total,
original, yeah.
the original. And we have the sequels, but we haven't seen them. We did see the remake in the new one in the theater. It's just kind of it's just a kind of a great representation. It's like the first horror slasher villain or black villain, and just it being kind of the embodiment of racial vengeance coming back on an entire town or whatever. Is just kind of I think a really powerful message. I think it kind of hit maybe a little harder in the remake. Actually, I think they were able to do some really great stuff in that one as well. You like Candyman?
I love Candyman.
Oh, okay.
This is one, like Pat said, we watched it, I think, only for the first time a few years ago, but it was one I grew up hearing about Candyman on the playground and was terrified of Candyman.
Don't say it anymore, okay? Because we don't want any tomfoolery up in here.
It's just such an incredible movie, though, and I think going into it for the first time, I didn't expect it to be as the themes to be as relevant today as sadly they still are.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So,
yeah,
Chance, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, I think that's kind of where, like, I think the new one kind of hits a little harder for me in some ways when it starts to bring in a lot of the police violence into the story and kind of makes it really relevant to today. So
yeah. So Chance, going off of, as they were talking about the remake of Candyman, or I guess the requel as we're calling it now, have you seen that movie and do you like it on par with it, or is it?
Yeah, I saw it when it opened in theaters. I was really excited for it. I don't think it's quite on par. I think it's like just below. Definitely better than Farewell to the Flesh or the third one. I can't think of the title for that one. But yeah, no, I think that Nia DaCosta did a great job of showing that the themes of the original Candyman like are still relevant today. And so, like, yeah, I think she did a great job of justifying it. I also think Yaya Abdul-Mateen is. I also like the way it's structured, like, for, like making the baby of the original the main character of this.
Yeah.
I think was an absolutely brilliant move. So, yeah, no, I really did like the new Candyman quite a bit.
Yeah, I did too. It was a very divisive movie, I've noticed, especially between critics and audiences, which is what great horror is supposed to do. It's supposed to open up more conversations. So I guess I'll move on to mine real quick. And this is one I just watched last night. It's Jordan Peele's Get Out.
You just watched it?
No. I mean, I've seen it multiple times before. I rewatched it last night.
Okay.
I should say. But yeah, this is one of my.
On you, buddy.
I know. But I love how every time I watch this movie, I watched like I think 5 or 6 times already. I notice smaller details every single time that really adds up to the big twist at the end. Which, spoiler alert for a 2016 film. If you haven't watched it by now, please go watch it. But when when you find out what the big twist is of like, oh, we're gonna take Chris's eyes and they're selling off people for their body parts, and just kind of how fucked up that is just begin with. But now you realize, oh, like everybody that's on that land is somebody else. Like, it's not the real person. And like the fucked up mindset of that, and then smaller details like when Chris and his girlfriend, I'm sorry if I'm getting her name,
Rose?
Yeah, Rose. Played by
You said you just watched this, right?
Yeah, I
like just watched it.
I watched it last night. Yeah.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty positive, but I did
have
a
lot of details. Are you sure?
But I will say I did have a lot of drinks that night. So
okay.
Some of that might have like mixed in with it.
Drinking on the job. Okay, I get you.
But yeah, when she is stopped by the police officer, or not stopped by the police officer, when she hit the deer and then he calls the police, and he asked for Chris's ID, and there's that context there, and you realize, as you watch it many times, the reason why Rose is stopping the cops is not because of this racial profiling or whatever. It's because she doesn't want to get caught in what she's doing. And you're just like, oh, and you start tying all this stuff into the ending. I love movies that, again, every time you rewatch them, you notice smaller details that really add a lot to like, okay, now there's a lot of Easter eggs there that I didn't notice beforehand.
Absolutely.
Chance, you want to comment on this?
Yeah, I remember the first time I watched Get Out. Well, I remember the first time I saw the trailer for Get Out. Like, everyone was just like, what is going on?
Yeah.
One half of Key and Peele made this movie. And I think that was just a brilliant move to market it in the way it did. It got people in theater, did its job. But I can't remember the last time a first-time filmmaker made this big a splash. I honestly think it would probably look like PTA, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe like Christopher Nolan, but I can't remember the last time someone with their debut feature made this big an impact. with the where you like Jordan Peele now, he's someone who just name alone will get people in the theater. And what helps is the fact that Get Out is an incredibly well made film, to the point where it managed to have staying power from somebody came out in February, managed to have staying power through an entire year and won an Oscar the following year. That usually doesn't happen. So I think that's incredible. But like you said, I think the thematic elements, the subtext of that film, the different elements that you don't notice on a first time watch, I think that's what makes that movie. I think that's what brings the staying power to that film. I think that's what's going to make that film. That's going to make the film last. People are going to watch it over and over again because they're going to pick up on something they didn't notice on the last watch. And I think that in 30, 50 years, we're going to talk about that as maybe one of the greatest directorial debuts, maybe ever.
Oh, I definitely agree.
Yeah. I mean, now with Jordan Peele, he drops a poster that just says "Nope" on it, and everyone's like, "Let's analyze this poster now and see what's that string? What is this cloud thing in the sky? What's going on here?" And then the trailer comes out, and not as big as the No Way Home trailer or anything like that, but it's still pretty big. People are talking about it. And it's a horror movie that just brings a lot of great just talk about horror, which is not normally what happens. So I'm glad that Jordan Peele and Scream and a lot of these movies can bring this attention to horror films.
Carrie?
Yeah, I mean, this is for a horror film to be even considered at the Oscars at all is so incredibly rare. And then for it to be this incredibly powerful film that has so many messages. I mean, you can sit there and I think, Hunter, like you said, every time you watch this film, you notice something else. And I know this, I've talked with people who aren't horror fans for hours about this movie. It's that incredible. It's that good. It's that layered.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Chad, you want to move on to your movie?
I'll come up with the movie. I mean, we could talk about Night of the Living Dead. I feel like that was one of the OG things. I was just talking. We were just watching. We didn't get through all of it. We were just watching a horror noir, the Black documentary on Shudder, and they were just kind of talking about how as someone who grew up in the time I grew up, going back to watch a movie like Night of the Living Dead, George Romero back in the day in the 60s, seeing a Black protagonist. Myself, I'm that's not a big deal. But back then, it's a huge deal. And they were talking about how, that actor being in,
Dwayne Jones,
being in that movie, being in the house with all the white people. It's they were wondering, are they more scared of him being in the house with them or the zombies outside? And I thought that was a really great social commentary back in those times. It felt very risky.
Yeah, Chance, you want to comment?
Yeah. I mean, Romero is always excellent putting real world subtext into his horror movies. You look at also about consumerism in Dawn of the Dead, which also had a Black lead, or the racial stuff in this one. And to your point, this is incredibly. This is a huge thing for the '60s to have. Not just a black man as a central figure in your movie, but to have him be the lead, have him be the hero. That's something that wasn't done back then, not in any mainstream film. Which is why at the time it was so for that, and the violence. Which you watch it now, means nothing you can't see on. You see worse on cable TV now, but for the time it was this is a crazy amount of violence. But I mean, it obviously caught a lot of heat back in the '60s, but you watch that movie now, and it really helped opened up a lot of doors for a lot of minority actors to get bigger roles in movies. And George Romero, I believe, Hispanic director, or maybe Italian. Don't quote me on that, but for him to have that vision, for him to have that foresight, for him to be willing to take that risk, I really do admire that. And I think that the way that movie ends, which I'm not going to say it now because I do think if you haven't seen it, please watch it. The way that movie ends, I think, just really brings the entire thematic elements of what he was trying to say, it really brings that to like a conclusion that really makes your jaw drop when you think about, what was going on at the time, what's happening now. And yeah, a movie that scarily enough does translate to today.
Yeah, and that's from the 60s. That's really sad when you think about it. The one thing I do love about Night of the Living Dead is because George A. Romero has been on record saying that he never meant to make this a big social message or whatever. He just wanted to make a monster film. But what's cool about it is he didn't look at color when casting. You know what I mean? He was like, Dwight Jones was the best actor for this role, and he put him in there. And with that comes a lot of, social context, which you can look at it and interpret it a very different way. Again, great movies you can watch one way and get entertainment, and another way you can get certain messages that maybe the director didn't even mean to put in there, which I love.
That's kind of the thing about art and movies is that, sometimes they're just doing something, normal that they think is normal, like, oh, do this. And then people put their own, perspectives and thoughts into it. And that also drives conversation for the art and makes it completely something different. Like, like how they said Die Hard wasn't normally supposed to be a Christmas movie. It just had Christmas stuff in it. And then a lot of people now, that's the conversation around the holidays. So.
Yeah, Die Hard is a Christmas movie, by the way. But but like again, going back to Jordan Peele a little bit, in Get Out, there's a scene where Rose is eating Fruit Loops with one bowl and milk in the other. Jordan Peele said that I didn't mean to make that a message of color versus whites or whatever. He was like, I was thinking of how can I make this white girl even crazier?
Yeah.
The way that again, when people, one person can watch it and see, oh, she's absolutely crazy. Another one can see a social message out of it. Again, great art and great film can really balance that two edges of, okay, what is the director actually saying, or what do I interpret him saying? All right, Carrie, you want to move on?
Sure. So one I wanted to talk about is a recent one, so maybe not all of us have seen it. I just wanted to highlight it because it's such a great film, a great new release. It's called His House.
Ooh.
It's actually a British film, and it's about immigrants from South Sudan, which is experiencing a lot of conflict. So it's about a husband and wife who immigrate to Britain and settle down. And their government-sponsored housing is haunted. And it is one genuinely terrifying. It's like one of the scariest films I've seen in years. So I recommend it just for that alone. And then the messages about it, about the trauma that immigrants go through, especially immigrants coming from South Sudan, and from going through the trauma in their homeland to the trauma of the journey to the trauma of having to settle down in this completely foreign place, and how they deal with it and how they overcome it. It's just such an incredible movie on from a metaphorical level, from a straight horror movie. And I think, like you guys were saying, that's some of the best horror movies are ones that work on both of those levels.
Yeah, that's very true. Like, just where you can take just like traumatic experience and just that's kind of like what horror is just the horrors of life. But it that specific thing, because you explained that really well, reminded me of Tigers Are Not Afraid.
Oh,
that was another one.
That's a Spanish.
Mexican, I think
it's,
right? Is it
I
Spanish?
can't remember. It's Spanish language. I know it's...
Thought it had to do with like the cartels.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
So it was like,
I'm completely lost at this point. I've never seen it.
It was a Shudder original, I think. But yeah, it just kind of goes to the same kind of like that little subset of horror where it's like, the horrors that people go through, just moving to a new country and just being treated horrifically. And then you can see that, manifest as something like a deadly spirit or something like that in the walls, like his house does. It's pretty great film.
It's on Netflix, or at least it was when we watched
I
it.
think it's a Netflix movie. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I think it is a Netflix movie.
Okay, sweet.
You guys seen that one?
I've never seen this one. Chance?
His house. I've heard of it. It's one of those movies like I see on Netflix and then it just gets buried and I just never find it again, so never think to watch it. So
I'm not sure if it got like a lot of like Oscar attention or anything like that.
No.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, so I can't really add anything to it. I've never seen it. Definitely one I'm gonna have to check out though.
Recommended. Yeah, it was very scary. Very scary.
Nice. All right, Chance, you want to move on?
yeah, so one I do want to shout out because we just talked about Get Out. Maybe think of one that I'd watched fairly recently, which actually Get Out does borrow not borrow, but like it has very similar plot elements too, and that's Wes Craven's People Under the Stairs. It's a movie in which it stars what's this guy's name? Brandon Adams, the black kid from The Sandlot.
Yes.
He's part of this crew who's breaking into this house, which is like this the only rich house in this neighborhood, and they find out that this family has things that they are hiding. And Wes Craven managed to take that. The premise itself is already ingenious, but Wes Craven managed to take that and have a lot of messaging about gentrification mainly, which that's the main theme of the movie, but also the idea of being that family in that neighborhood who like you're there because you're there because you have money and it's cheaper to live there, but you don't care about the neighborhood, you don't care about the people, you don't blend in, and you treat everybody else like shit. The family itself is they're insane. It's really crazy. Really has its fun moments, but also like a lot of genuine scares. Has like pretty solid cast too. Ving Rhames is one of the burglars. Bill Cobbs is the kid's grandfather. I can't think of who plays the family member, but they're all fantastic. And it's a movie that gets more complex and gets more interesting the further you go into it. So yeah, I think that Wes Craven's a guy who's directed some of the all-time classics in horror. I think this is one that gets really underrated in his filmography. I think this film's excellent. I just think more people should check it out. If you love Get Out, you're really going to like People Under the Stairs.
Yeah, that's one of the movies that I remember watching like on cable at some point, but I was way too young to understand any like social commentary, anything like that. But the conversation about it did remind me of a movie I absolutely adore from a few years ago. Was The Last Black Man in San Francisco.
Also, that movie is excellent.
That's so good. It's not a horror film, but it is about like it kind of like
being pushed out of your neighborhood,
pushed out of your neighborhood by people who can afford it and don't care for the neighborhood and the houses like the people that were there before. And oh my god. But it's not horror, so we don't have to dwell on that one. But yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen People Under the Stairs, but I
Me
really
neither.
want to.
Well, yeah, definitely one I've heard about, but I've never been able to find it anywhere.
It's definitely the one they covered on the Horror Noir documentary.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we definitely want to check that out very soon.
We have it on. I think you or
I have it
someone
on
else
Blu-ray,
bought it for.
Yeah. Shout did a release of that not too long ago, so I'd recommend picking it up because it's a really nice release, and yeah, the movie itself is really good. So
definitely Craven fan. So
definitely one I have to look up because I'm a huge Craven fan.
Of
so
course you are.
Yeah.
definitely one I have to watch. So I'm gonna throw a little curveball here with my movie. It is horror, but it's also another genre. I'm gonna bring up 1998's Blade.
Okay.
As Blade is played by, of course, Wesley Snipes. I believe this was the first African American led superhero movie.
Based on a comic book.
Based on a comic book, yeah.
I was about to say, was that before Blank Man? Because
that was after Meteor Man was before too.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I should rephrase based on a comic line. And Blade is just a fun movie, but it's also really, really entertaining when it comes to like just the action and overall the story. I love, just of like, kind of this mythical, like half vampire, half human, this daywalker who's just out for revenge. And it's just a really good, really fun movie with a kick-ass lead. So yeah, I just wanted to be different and bring up Blade for a while. So open door policy for anybody.
We love that idea.
Thank you. So yeah, anybody can be free to talk about it if you want.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love Blade. Blade was a movie that I watched younger than I probably supposed to. Mostly because my parents was like, yeah, it's just a lot of blood. It'll be fine. But yeah, no, seeing that, I think that because for a while DC was like they were the brand that they were the one that could do movies. Marvel couldn't,
Which is
because they had 78 Superman, they had Batman 89, they had Superman 2, Batman Returns. Like they got money to do stuff. Whereas look at what Marvel were doing. They got the Dolph Lundgren Punisher and the 1990 Captain America.
Yeah.
And the fucking Swamp Thing movie. No, that was DC. That was
Another
DC.
Wes Craven.
Another Wes Craven.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like Marvel was. Oh, and they did Howard the Duck. Yeah, that's what I was forgetting. But yeah, but when you look at it, there were 3 movies that really kind of brought Marvel back into the forefront when it came to films. It was Spider-Man, X-Men, and Blade. Blade starting it off, and yeah, I mean, it was a strange character to try and make that a big budget, like big hits. But you get a guy who was a really fantastic black movie star, Wesley Snipes, who was excellent in the role of Blade for two movies, and then 3 happens. And yeah, you just make it just this really like kick-ass, really cool vampire action movie. And yeah, no, I prefer Blade 2 of the Blade movies, but I think the first Blade not only did more for Marvel, but did a lot for even for R-rated comic movies in general. I think that Blade was a huge step in the right direction for a lot of reasons. So yeah, I do like Blade quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, with Blade 2, like you get the step up with the Del Toro, creature design and like weapons and just a bunch of cool stuff. And I mean, he's just a great director in general. But Blade as a character, yeah, I mean, I don't think the movies are like they're not masterpieces by any means, but they're definitely fun and they're definitely badass. And Wesley Snipes is always gonna pop up with some sort of like one-liner and some cool move. And I'm really excited to see what they do with Mahershala Ali.
Yeah,
that dude, he's one of the best actors alive right now. So
I'm excited for him. I'm excited to see because now I think we watched the first 2 Blade movies pretty recently, and the graphics don't really hold up. I think especially
for the one especially.
Yeah.
Which is weird. What's weird because they cut the blood tornado, which would look so much worse.
Yeah, it would look horrible.
Yeah. So I'm excited with some updated graphics as well to see what they can do.
Maybe like a better story and stuff like that.
I really love the story in the first Blade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, I mean, wasn't this the first Marvel movie to be rated R?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So this really brought in.
Dolph Lundgren's Punisher doesn't count because that didn't get released in the States, but yeah, that would count.
Yeah. So this was like the first big budgeted like rated R comic book movie because I don't think there was a lot of like big budget rated R comic book movies out there. Like, I mean, as Chan said, Punisher, but that wasn't released statewide.
And it's weird because like even Howard the Duck wasn't rated R and that had duck boobies in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I think Swamp Thing was like PG or something like that, which was also completely weird for Wes Craven to do a PG movie. But yeah, Blade just has a lot of like first with it. Like it was the first movie to really kind of turn the tide for Marvel to be like, all right, we can do Spider-Man and we can do, all these great, essential comic book movies, X-Men. But it started with Blade in 98, which I love that a lot of people don't really bring up. Like you hear a lot about Spider-Man and X-Men for great reasons, but Blade kind of turned that tide a little bit.
Yeah. For sure.
All right, Chad, you want to go next?
Sure. I'll just talk about I'll talk about another Jordan Peele. I'll talk about Us.
Okay.
How about
I
that?
love that movie.
Because Carrie saw it in the theater like 4 times.
No, I saw it only
Okay.
3 times in the
I saw
theater.
it 4 times.
Oh,
Nice,
did you?
nice.
You beat
Showing
me.
us up. All right. Yeah, I mean, Us, it's Jordan Peele's second movie. You know, I don't know if it's just as good as Get Out. I like it, I think, just about the same personally. But I just really love the entire cast. I love the story. I think it's epic. And I think Lupita Nyong'o totally should have got some sort of Oscar attention. And
Yes.
she played like 2 roles.
And she played them incredibly.
Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah, completely different.
yeah, just having that, you know, raspy voice, and it's just so creepy. And I love okay, I'm blanking on his name, Winston Duke. I love him
he's
so
so
much in
funny.
that movie. He's so funny. It's like, if we're gonna get crazy, we can
We
get
can
crazy.
get crazy.
And I just love that, like, when that trailer came out and had the, you know, we got 5 on it and stuff like that. It was just like, I don't know. That was just, it seemed like the song of like the year or something like that at one point, because of that trailer was so hype. And the movie was excellent. I don't know if I'll really get into spoiler territory unless you.
I mean, it came out in 2017. I mean, at this point.
Well, have we all seen it?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Chance, have you seen it?
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen Us. Come on.
It just come on, Hunter. It just has a lot to say about, like, you know, duality and you know, just stuff like that. And I don't know. I don't really have much more to say about it, to be honest. Carrie.
It's so excellent. And I can't remember, did you go and see it with me the second time?
The second time, but not the third.
We went and saw it specifically because of the ending. It makes you want to rewatch it immediately.
It recontextualizes everything.
And that's why we went and saw it a second time.
I would say even more than Get Out, I think the ending for Us is even more shocking than Get Out. Not the reveal. Not the reveal of Rose and Get Out, but like the reveal at the end, you're like, wait, what? And then you have to go like, all right, I'm watching this immediately again. And it's just such a great, you know, reveal that I'm just like.
Yeah, and it's just so exciting to have, you know, 2 of the best horror movies we've seen in the past 5 or so years to be you know, by a Black director, Black-led cast, like
pretty much all
so
Black
awesome.
cast, you know, except for Bradley Whitford, who would have voted for Obama for a 3rd term.
That line always, like, it's always like that perfect amount of awkwardness. Because I've met people like that before. Chance,
and then even Caleb Landry Jones in that movie too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when you hit a scene that big in your first feature, there's automatically be pressure on you to follow that up. And I think so far Peele's proven that he can do it. I think Us, I don't like it quite as much as Get Out. I think it's like just like a level below, but I really did love Us. And yeah, I think that much like we Get Out, there's like a ton of like great symbolism, like right from like, first of all, using one of the dumbest charity campaigns ever crafted by human beings, to the point to, you know, going to, you know, the underground. The only way to get out of the underground is an escalator that only goes down. I think that's a brilliant piece of symbolism right there. And yeah, I do think that Lupita Nyong'o in that film gives a performance that I think, like, you know, we're gonna look back at her the same way we look at you know, Elsa Lancaster or Linda Blair, or these like incredible actresses who give like incredible performances in horror movies, and think, well, we're gonna look at her the same way we look at those, as they're some of the best performances ever, but they don't get the respect that they deserve because it's a genre picture. Yeah. Although Linda Blair did get nominated for an Oscar. But yeah, no, I think that Us is another great step in the right direction for Jordan Peele. It proved that, you know, Get Out wasn't a fluke, and I think it further cemented him as a household name for a director. People will go out and turn out to see a Jordan Peele directed film.
Oh yeah,
definitely. Oh, sure. I actually love that in this movie there are 2 twists. You get the big reveal of you know, the duality, but you also get the idea of, like, it starts off as a home invasion movie, and the big twist I see is that this is nationwide.
Oh yeah.
Now they're starting to come up almost like a zombie apocalypse. Like the clones are coming out from the underground. And again, I love because Peele said he's a huge fan of Night of the Living Dead. I love how he used this movie as kind of a homage to Night of the Living Dead. The the takeover of the world of like these clones or like your neighbors or whatever, because that's what zombies are. Like they are people who are no longer with us. They could be your neighbors. So I love the fact that like this could literally be your neighbor and you have no idea until it's too late.
Yeah, they're like the undead trying so hard to get their humanity and personhood back. That's like with like Shaun of the Dead when, literally all of the zombies in that movie are trying to do the things that they once did when they were alive.
Yeah. Like Ed playing the video game.
Yeah.
And the store clerk trying to reach out for the chains that Sean owes him.
But yeah, like I also love that, like, again, a movie where you can watch it and 4 people will see it a different way.
Yeah.
Like again, the duality of you versus yourself, or the demons that you battle in your own mind, or the idea of America's like greedy past coming back to haunt us, like using a baseball bat to kill him, relying on boats, and Winston Duke's character wanting more than he already has. He's always comparing what he has to his neighbors, like, oh, we have the generator, we have this and this. And then in my opinion, one of the like funniest lines or like scenes I've seen in a long time is the Ophelia line.
It's been a while.
Oh yeah, because that's
pretty much like yeah, they're
yes,
they're getting stabbed, and Elizabeth Moss's character is like, Ophelia, call the police, and
right,
and they play "Fuck the Police" by NWA, and you're just like, technology can fuck you up too, is what Jordan Peele is trying to say.
Yeah. Jordan Peele is just great at just like having so many layers in his films. Like, Nope might be brilliant. I'm really hoping.
I'm so excited for Nope.
I think he's gonna make aliens scary for like the first time ever.
Everything Jordan Peele touches is like gold nowadays. Like even like producing Candyman.
Mm-hmm.
And he also produced the new Twilight Zone remake.
Right.
I haven't seen that.
One.
There's some really strong episodes.
When CBS wanted me to pay for it, I was like, I'm all right.
Yeah, I may have used illegal tactics to watch that. So let's move on.
Moving on.
Carrie?
Okay, so I want to nominate a pair of films, the original and the sequel. Or not nominate. I guess we're not nominating.
Nominate
stuff. Well, I think it's important to talk about both. So one is The Shining. And we have a great performance in there by Scatman Crothers.
Right. Yeah.
But, Stanley Kubrick changed the ending, whereas Scatman Crothers' character survives in the book, The Shining. He gets, killed off and sacrificed basically in the movie version. But what I love is that Dr. Sleep takes this young woman. The character is Abra Stone, played so well by I think her name is Kylie Curran.
That sounds accurate.
Or Kaylee Curran. And she is such a phenomenal actress, and to take this old movie from 1980 and revamp it and have this young woman as the heroine and the strongest person in the universe. That universe, she's the strongest person. She's the strongest Shining, and she's the heroine. And I think it's so great. I love watching, Dr. Sleep for that reason.
It's like weird. I don't think she's really popped up in really anything else, but she was so good in that movie.
Yeah, but she's a child, so she should just do whatever she wants to do.
Whatever she wants to do. Maybe she'll be in Mike Flanagan's like cast of regulars at some point.
Yes. Chance, you want to?
Yeah, no, I think that I mean, I'm a big fan of Stephen King and the original Shining movie. I do understand a lot of the changes Kubrick made to the original source material. One thing I mean, I don't think it's a bad choice for the narrative of the film. I really hated seeing Dick Halloran die.
Yeah.
Because I really love that character in the book, and I love Scatman Crothers. Yeah, I really love him as an actor, and he was always just like so good, so effortless at being that type of character. But admittedly, it would have been a little ridiculous to see him walking around with, because like in the book, it's a croquet mallet. He's not walking around with an axe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a croquet mallet.
Yeah, he's walking around with a big old cartoon mallet. It's like, no, we're not doing this.
No, we're changing.
Yeah.
But I also do like the way he's brought back in Doctor Sleep, or like Carl Lumley, another actor I'm a big fan of, and I like that he's kind of like Danny's moral compass in that one. He's essentially the angel on his shoulder, kind of like guiding him to do the right thing. So I thought that was a really smart inclusion, a good way to go around the fact that he's no longer the character in the universe, no longer around. And yeah, Kaylee Curran she's fantastic. I love her back and forth with Hugh McGregor. I think they have great chemistry, and yeah, if there's someone that young to come into like a property this big under this director with this kind of cast, it's a daunting task for anybody. And the fact that she pulled it off, I give her a lot of credit.
Oh yeah, and the one thing I love about, especially what Doctor Sleep does, is as Carrie brought up, Albra's Shining is unlike Danny's or anybody else's, to the point where that's the whole movie pretty much, is Rose really wanting to feed off of Abra because of the power that she has. This will keep her young forever, as she said, because she has such a powerful shine to her. And for Kyrie Curran to really
Okay.
Am I good?
You're good now.
All right. For her to go head to head with someone as as a powerhouse as Ewan McGregor and really hold her own shows a lot for someone her age.
Absolutely.
All right. Should we move on? Chance, you want to bring up another one?
Yeah. So I'm also going to go for a little twofer, but I'm not doing anything that's really connected. No franchise stuff. But I do want to share some of my favorites in the horror black horror genre, because one of my favorite things was in the 70s for a little bit. We had blaxploitation horror. It was when black filmmakers and black crew would make low budget updated versions of horror classics. The big two were Blackula and Blackenstein. So basically, in Blackula's movie, in which an African American goes to Transylvania, meets the real Dracula, gets bitten, and then he goes back and wreaks havoc on 70s Los Angeles. And then you had Blackenstein, which was about a Vietnam vet who gets all his limbs blown off because gets new ones surgically attached, not hit, but gets new limbs surgically attached, and he turns to a monster because medication is switched. And yeah, they're ridiculous, and they're fun, but they also do have something legitimate to say. The black Bacula with the whole LA scene in the 70s, and Blackenstein with the treatment of veterans is actually a really big theme in that. So I think that if you want something like they're not like high art or anything, but if you want something fun, something ridiculous, but something that does have a lot of heart, has a lot of TLC, actually does have some interesting subtext to it. It's not Romero, but they're pretty fun movies. I would advise checking them out.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check out those movies. I'm a huge fan of Psych, so they make a Blackula reference in that movie, in that show, where Gus it's like a Halloween episode and Gus is dressing up like Blackula. So I've heard of these type of movies. I've never heard of the Frankenstein type movie. I've never heard of that. Yeah, I've never heard of that one. So
please watch Blackenstein.
Yeah, I feel like Blackula is definitely more in the cultural zeitgeist than Blackenstein, because I never heard about it until today either when I was watching that documentary. And but I just think it's so cool. Especially I don't know, like when did those come out?
70s.
Right.
yeah, back in the 70s when just like Black creators were able to, actually do their own
Oh
stuff.
yeah, when the blackface movement was huge, and that was a time where black filmmakers, if they got the money, they could do whatever they wanted. A lot of them did. A lot of them
Yeah.
chose to, update old horror novels.
Yeah, because like they were even talking about like back like way before that, like when it was a horror movie to some people, like Birth of a Nation, when you had like people being portrayed by like white people however they wanted to. It's like, no, we can take it back and make it how we see things. And so I think that's really great, and I think that's what's great about like Jordan Peele today, just kind of like making things in the eyes of a different perspective that not everyone gets to see.
Yeah. Carrie, you have anything?
I haven't seen Blackula or Blackenstein. They've been on my to watch list forever. And I think it's a matter of getting a copy of them and finally watching them. But I've been wanting to see them for forever.
Same.
All right, so I guess it's back to me. So the last one I want to bring up, and then we'll kind of do like one last run around. Is a movie I just watched recently in the last year or so, and that is Tales from the Hood. Like the first one. I don't know. I love horror anthologies, and it seems like from what I saw, one thing I love is like every one of the anthology stories in this movie has to do with some sort of social issue. But it's also a horror comedy, so they kind of like makes it easier to digest some of it. Like this one called Row Cop Revelation, Welcome to the Mortuary, which is the opening. So yeah, just kind of one I wanted to bring up just to kind of, I feel like you can't really talk about, representation in horror movies and not talk about one that has a all black cast. Oh, man, what's up with my internet? Chance, you want to?
No, yeah, I mean that was one. That was something I was thinking about when you brought this up, and yeah, Tales from the Hood. I think that like I love horror anthologies. Like I really like Tales from the Dark Side, Creepshow, and this feels like this, but for for a black audience, and I do like that perspective. I think Clarence Williams is great as the host of this. I think it's fantastic. Yeah, it's got a great cast. Like Corbin Bernsen's in this. David Ungreer makes an appearance. Managed to get some like really talented actors to do these vignettes, and yeah, each one's really provocative in a sense. Some are stronger than others, but overall, really, really solid film.
Yeah.
Chad, I mean, it looks like I don't think either of us have seen this, unfortunately, but it's just one of those on like our big backlog of films in general, but horror films too. We also love a good anthology. We love both creep shows, Trick or Treat, stuff like that. But Tales from the Hood, like I'm very interested to check out, especially knowing that it was executive produced by Spike Lee. It's gonna have something to say.
Yeah.
I mean, we just recently watched on Criterion Bamboozled by him. Like kind of like it's a very just if you watch it, it's really rough because it has to do with like the history and portrayal of blackface in cinema. So they have a lot of imagery about that, and a lot of characters actually do that. It's a lot of it's Damon satire. It's a satire, but Damon Wayans leads this. It's
Jada Pinkett Smith is I mean, she's amazing.
Michael Rappaport plays kind of a controversial type of character. It's not a horror movie, it's actually a comedy, but basically the point is Spike Lee like always has something to say, and that really makes me want to check this out now.
Yeah, I know there are like 4 of these movies, I think.
At least 3. I don't know about the fourth.
I think there was a fourth one that was like sci-fi exclusive, but it had like Tony Todd as the lead.
That is never a bad thing to have.
Never
in a movie. Just
Chad,
that deep voice, like we were watching that documentary. He was speaking, and I have my subwoofer, and I had that
Yeah.
Tony Todd be my victim, just really, vibrating up my floor. Did
Chad,
you
you want to move on for your last one?
movie?
Do you have one?
I have to look one up, so I'll let Carrie go.
Okay. Yeah, we didn't know we were gonna be like round robbing.
I didn't know either. It's just gonna do it.
Oh man, I guess since we're wrapping, I'm just gonna throw a few out there. We talked about Night of the Living Dead, but Dawn of the Dead and Day of the Dead also both have great Black leads. And I love in all three of those movies, like I think for most of us, we actually identify with like Dwayne Jones or Ken Foree, because they're the ones who are being sensible and actually taking action and like dealing with the fact that there's a zombie apocalypse going on. I love those movies. And I love I love Tony Todd in the Final Destination movies for the fact that he's given interviews and he said that they pay him just an absolute shit ton of money just to do one scene in each of these movies, which is awesome.
Yeah, I mean that's just how.
What's great about? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say that's great. That's just how prolific he is. Basically, off of his Candyman character, he's just so beloved, and especially the horror community. Just he'll pop up in every Final Destination, and it's great to see him.
Yeah, he was also in Hellfest a few years back. He played the ringleader who was on a stage play. So it's always good seeing Tony Todd. And what I love about his character in Final Destination is you could arguably say his character is the most important in the whole series, because he's the one that is giving us backstory about,
which is funny because he's only in like 2 of those.
Yeah, he's in 1 and 2, but
he's in 1 and 5. That's it.
He's also in 2, isn't he?
Oh, is he in 2?
Yeah,
he might be in 2.
He shows up in the freezer at the morgue.
Okay,
but also he's also a voice in 3 as well. He's the voice of the roller coaster demon.
That's right.
He's getting at least 4 of them. But again, I love how his character, like, we know what's going on because of him. Like he ties all these characters together, especially in the ones that he's more prolific in, I should say. All right, Chad, you have one?
Yeah, I saw one, but I'm not going to actually try to spoil this one. Because it's I feel like this one when it came out was controversial, but it's a very recent film, and I don't know how many people have seen it. Antebellum.
I haven't seen it yet. I gotta watch it.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, I won't say too much about it, but this one is, I mean, it was really controversial when it came out. I kind of liked it, but I don't know if it's a great movie. But it's just one of those where it's like it's got on one side the whole slave thing where people are being mistreated, but then it has another side to it where it's like the modern day, and you're just very confused the whole time until the end. But it has what is it? Janelle Monáe.
Yeah.
Great actress,
she's
singer.
Always great in everything.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And I guess there's not much to talk about unless Carrie wants to talk about this or Chance has seen it.
I've seen it.
Okay. It's an interesting one, but it's hard to talk about it since Hunter hasn't seen it. Not a lot of people might have seen this one yet.
Chance, you want to go ahead?
I'd highly encourage everyone to watch this, but not because it's good. Not because it's good. I tell you what, I was excited for this when I first saw the trailer. I was like, we're doing some, like black time travel, which is actually a really cool concept because there's not a lot of places we can time travel where it's going to be good for us. But then you watch the movie and just like, okay, what's happening? Then the ending hits, and you're just sitting there like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Yeah, that's it. That's what this is building to.
Yep.
I don't want to spoil it because the ending is legitimately it's kind of like the Matthew McConaughey Serenity, where the twist is the selling points, and the twist is legitimately hilarious in the context of the entire film, just because it's so bad and like so like what? But yeah, no, I would again check out Antebellum. It's not a good movie by any means, but just just stick with it because you're gonna get a lot out of the ending.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm super excited to watch it now just on these reviews alone. So
And it's
you guys are selling me on it.
What is the new movie that's coming out with
the one we just talked about with Keke Palmer,
Alice. That's
Alice. Yeah.
So
yeah, that movie looks really good.
Maybe Alice will do this concept right.
And it looks like she's gonna be blowing up. So Keke.
Oh yeah.
So looking forward to that.
Chance, you want to close us out with your final movie?
Oh, final one. Let's see. I thought that would have been the last one, but you know what? I will throw one more out there. My first was Candyman, and my last one's going to be from a star of Candyman. It's Casey Lemon's directorial debut, Ease Bayou, where this isn't like your traditional horror. It's not like super scary, but it's gothic horror. It takes place all over. It takes place in the Louisiana Bayou. It's all about this family growing up in this southern mansion, and there's like the weird goings on down there. It's a lot of gothic horror things, sort of Interview with the Vampire-esque, which I love that movie. So it totally appeals to me, and I love just gothic imagery and gothic scenery. So yeah, this is definitely something that appeals to my sensibilities, and it shows that Casey Lemons is a director who, it showed that she was also just being a solid actor. She just could be a really, really great director. So if you haven't seen Ease Bayou, please go watch it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. So definitely one I got to go check out. Carrie, you sounded very excited when he brought up that movie.
Yeah, we watched this movie fairly recently.
Fortunately, we are actually. I'm a Dan Merle, Patreon subscriber. We do his movie club. This is why we watched this because
I forgot that. It was on my list because
that's cool.
It was part of so that's why we were able to watch this sooner instead of putting it on the bottom of the list. But I was super excited to see that Jeannine Smollett is in this because she's in Friday Night Lights. Girl, yeah. And I love Friday Night Lights, and she is also very, very adorable in this movie.
Yeah, she is amazing in this movie. Samuel Jackson is in this movie. It's just like, I don't know. It's good. It's not like a traditional horror like Chance was saying, but it's so good. I don't know. It's just like this little kind of like slice of life.
It's really interesting because I didn't consider this a horror until Chance literally just said something. But it kind of does make sense. I mean, it's all kind of about like being young, not knowing what's going on, being taken advantage of, kind of being gaslit a little bit. And it's and like not really, you have different perspectives at different ages, and just you have like an event, and I just remember like that was kind of like the one big thing when she realized that her dad was having like infidelity.
Well, let's not spoil it.
All right, I won't spoil it. But I just remember there was like a big kind of gaslighting thing, but it was literally like there was that there, but then later too. But like right there was like sister kind of taking care of sister.
Yeah,
a little bit. It's a very deep movie about family issues and trauma, and it can be a rough watch, but it's definitely a good movie. Sure. I like that movie.
Really love that movie.
All right, so I definitely have some homework I have to do tonight, which is going to be fun.
Same. Yeah.
All right, guys. So sadly, I do have to cut this short because I have a lot to do tonight. Chance, where can people find you online, man?
Twitter, Instagram at Chance_91. Check my podcast, Stories by Chance. We just dropped. What did we just drop? Oh, I'm so bad at this. Okay, whatever. Whatever we just dropped. Our upcoming episode is going to be it's going to be our 15th anniversary, and we're talking about Hot Fuzz, which I'm very excited to talk about. It's whatever podcasts are found, Notorious by Chance, and the Schmodown. Our season 9 is starting this coming Friday. It's gonna be a great season. I'm really excited to get to work on this one. Probably the most excited I've been for a Schmodown season in a very long time. So yeah, I'll be on the lookout for that.
Definitely. Thank you so much for coming, being on here, Chance, and good luck on your season, man.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
thank you.
Exactly. All right, Chad, Carrie, where can we find you online?
You can
I'll
go.
go
Try
ahead.
to quit.
Yeah, I'm just doing fan league stuff over at TMG. I do like movie battleground. I do just regular stuff over there, regular trivia. I'm trying to branch out into other leagues and stuff like that. Also doing a lot of trivia, team stuff like that. But I have my own little show that I do with my buddy Dylan Randazzo over at the Dill Pickle Movie Network. We talk. It's called Picture This. We talk about the Oscars every month. We do a year of the Oscars. We talk about all the nominees, the winners of Best Picture for those years, and we talk about them. We rank them. We talk about actors and actresses from that slate of movies, the year itself. We have a really great time. In light of the passing of Sidney Poitier, we are doing 1967 this month. And very excited for that one. Watched In the Heat of the Night, fantastic movie,
Okay.
and looking forward to watching some more of his movies that I just haven't really checked out before. Next month we're doing Oscar stuff, so we're doing 2021 films. Looking forward to that. A lot of great movies in that slate. And then last month we did 1980 with Dan Skip Allen, and that was a really fun conversation because he had a lot to say about a lot of those movies. And one of his favorites, Raging Bulls, in that slate, and so that was really fun. Other than that, I have my own like little channel that I do. It's just Chadwick Webb on YouTube, and it's we rank stuff. We ranked Edgar Wright. Speaking of Hot Fuzz, and we ranked Christmas movies, and we did Harry Potter. I need to get that video out soon.
Ooh.
Other than that, we might do a Denis Villeneuve at some point, but yeah, that's about it. It's a lot, but that's about it.
I also just remembered my last episode was Edward Scissorhands, which is one of my favorite episodes we've done in a long time. So
Nice.
again, I highly recommend checking that one out.
Great.
It's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Nice. Carrie?
I'm not online much. If you want to see pictures of our cats, you can follow me on Instagram at Carrie Elizabeth 17. But then I also actually have a horror trivia match coming up in Hunters League.
Yeah, you do.
6th of February. So
And you might see
I'm
a Webb
excited for that.
versus Webb at some point.
If I win that match.
That's the tangle of the webs, which is what I'm going to call that whole match, the tangle of the webs. All right, guys. So if you did like this, hit that like button, subscribe to Nerd Entertainment Network down below. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys soon. Peace.